it's Kate
and Nicole,
and we are not twins, but we are sisters, and we recently, well, actually it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We did a relationship Q&A like 2 years ago, and we've been getting a lot of requests to do a part 2 now that Nicole's married and I have actually been in a relationship, because the first time around I had not, so I did not know. I mean, I knew what I was talking about, but like not really, because I didn't really have any experience. So now that we have some more experience, we are going to take it back to that video and answer some more questions that you guys sent us on Instagram. We're not going to be reading your guys' usernames just for like privacy reasons, but we hope you guys enjoy it and that it helps you in some way. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Okay, so the first one that I'm seeing is, how do you handle getting ghosted asking for a friend? So as far as getting ghosted, I feel like
that's the worst.
It's not a good thing that
it's
happens.
Not a good feeling.
But I feel like if the guy ghosts you, he clearly wasn't a good guy anyways, because he didn't have the respect for you to just be like, hey, this isn't working out for me, like, let's just be friends. Instead of saying that, he just ghosted you. So I mean, getting over it, just tell yourself that he was obviously not a good guy, and hopefully that will help you. If not,
I think it does help if you kind of realize, like, if he ghosted you, he's so not the one, and there's another person that you know that's not right for you, but you're closer to finding the right person.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. How do you fully and emotionally get over someone where things ended poorly? Ooh, this is a good one. I think we can both kind of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead?
I mean, I feel like kind of the same thing, just reminding yourself of all the things that weren't right about it kind of helps to realize, like, okay, it's probably for the best that this didn't work out. Mm-hmm. And also just reminding yourself that, hey, this is just another one that didn't work out, but I can take good things about this relationship and bad things about this relationship and say, these are things that I do want and don't want in my next relationship.
Right. Kind of taking account of, like, okay, I really liked this about the person, but, you know, I think what she said, kind of not focusing on the negative, but kind of, you need to tell yourself, if you know it's not the right person for you and things did end poorly, you do kind of need to be realistic and be like, okay, there were some signs that this guy was not the right one. And kind of remember, like, yes, you can keep playing the good things in your head like a movie, which we all do as girls.
We all do.
You just keep playing over and over again, but this was so great. But remember all the times when you saw red flags and you ignored them. Like, just kind of remember that and realize that there's someone so much better for you.
There is.
There really, truly is.
And it might not seem like it right now, but you're probably just too young to see it.
Or blind.
Or too blind.
Too blind.
How do you know when you meet the right one? Girl, I will tell you when I find out, but she can take this one.
When Blake and I started dating, I was kind of getting over the whole vibe season of my life that caused me to write Worth It. So I was dealing with just a lot of heartbreak.
Which is her book, by the way, if you didn't know.
Yeah, sorry. So I was just dealing with a lot of heartbreak in, like, different areas, and I was just so, like, I don't care, I don't want a relationship, I'm over it, never again, you know, like, in one of those modes where, like, I don't need a man, I'm fine. And I think that is such, like, a healthy place to be in, when you're just happy with you and you're fine and you're not, you know, searching, you don't need someone. Yeah. And so when we started talking, I just remember, like, when we finally did hang out in person, I was like, I just knew that it wouldn't end. When we started talking, I just was like, this is like it. Like, this is a forever kind of relationship. And we weren't even, like, we were very early on when I was thinking this. Like, I wasn't even his girlfriend yet, and he felt the exact same way. And so it was this cool, like, moment where we were both just like, this is not gonna end. So,
top 3 biggest turnoffs while in the getting to know each other stage. So the getting to know each other stage is kind of that stage at the beginning of talking, where you are just kind of playing 20 questions every day.
Yeah.
And being like, what do you think about this? What are your plans for the future?
Yeah.
The future. And just, questions and stuff like that. I would say the top 3 biggest turnoffs is
talking about yourself way too much. Either party, whether it's you or whether it's the guy, like, don't talk about yourself that much because it's just, you don't need that. And it makes you look self-centered and especially, and guys do it more than girls.
They do.
For sure. And usually it'll be a guy on the phone and he'll be like, well, I'm doing this ministry-wise, and I preach here, and I'm doing this career-wise, and I make this much money. And like kind of giving you their resume, because I think guys feel like they need to prove themselves, which makes sense. But, you know, in the same vein, I think that when you find a guy who really exhibits humility, that's, you want that first and foremost. You want a guy who has goals and who has ambitions and dreams, but you don't want that to be, you know, preeminent over you and your relationship, right? You don't want his goals to be more important than you. Yeah. So you want him to get to know you.
So the first one would be someone who's cocky, arrogant. Second one, I think guys sometimes try to be overly spiritual. And it's not a turnoff. It's just like, it's kind of annoying because, okay, we're both in church.
It's like disingenuous to me sometimes.
It is disingenuous for sure. It just feels like you're trying too hard to preach to me about something that I already know about. I don't need you to tell me how to live. I'm already, you know, doing what I need to do. That's annoying. That's a big turnoff. And then the last thing I guess would just be someone that isn't sure that they even want to like do this. I mean, like if you find out that they're talking
someone
to multiple girls or something, that's a huge turnoff because, hey, if you don't want me, like, I'm out. You know what I'm saying?
Or someone who kind of like will flake on plans with you. Like if you have a set date or even like something casual, like, oh, we're gonna hang out, we're gonna go get coffee, whatever, and then they're like canceling on you. No. My aunt would always tell me when I was younger, she would be like, if a guy really wants to be you, he will move mountains for you.
And that's to be with you.
And that really is what Blake did with me. I mean, he literally did the absolute most. And that's what you need. That's what every, you know, great marriage, the guy moves mountains.
Okay, this isn't a relationship question, like pertaining guys, but I guess this is like a relationship question in the sense of sisters. Someone said, as sisters, how do you overcome disagreements? I just think it's a cute question, so I wanted to put it in.
Question. I don't think we really argue that much now that we don't live together.
Yeah,
honestly.
We don't argue at all, really.
Really, hardly at all.
And if we do, it's
the
over
other
something
day,
stupid.
what did you do? She left her purse. So we live like 30 minutes from each other right now. And she left her purse in my car and then calls me and it's like, I need my purse. I'm like,
because it had my car keys in it.
You have to come like get it.
So I had to borrow someone else's car to go to my sister's house to get my keys.
But she knew she left it in there. Like she didn't. She knew
I just
she
wasn't
left it. She
registering
didn't
if
forget
the keys
it.
were in there.
So
I was
anyways.
like, it's fine. But
that was like
how do we? That was so random.
Disagreement
but
that we got into.
Yeah. But even when we were living together, we didn't really get into like disagreements. It was mostly like, stop stealing my clothes. You're annoying.
Or
like
I would steal her brush.
Yeah. Or it'd be like,
hair ties.
I need to use the bathroom. Get out. And then the other person would be like, no. And I remember there was one time at like 2 a.m. that we both got up to use the bathroom, and I was like banging on the door, and she was like, "You're so mean." I was like crying because she was really tired. And it was really funny. But yeah, we don't really get into arguments anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
We're just chilling now.
We are just chilling, honestly. How did you know that you were ready for a relationship?
I think kind of like I said earlier, I mean, when you're in a headspace where you're just okay with who you are and you're okay with being by yourself and you're okay with just hanging out with your girlfriends and hanging out with your family, and when you're in that headspace and you're not like, I need a relationship.
Yeah.
Because when you're just, that kind of mentality attracts the wrong kinds of guys. So when you're in a headspace where you're okay with who you are and you're confident in yourself and you're good in your walk with God, that's really when you're in the perfect season of life to really have like a long-term relationship.
I agree. I already told my pastors and dad about this boy, but I don't know how to get full approval. Well, if you told your dad and your pastor about this guy and you didn't get approval, that's probably a pretty good sign that it's not a good situation, because other than praying, your pastor is kind of the closest that you can get to having like an audience with God. Like your pastor's going to be really in tune with God, and he's going to know like when something's right or wrong in your life. And so, and your parents know you better than anyone, and they just want what's best for you. So if they're saying no to this guy, don't keep trying to get approval, because I don't think that it's gonna happen if it hasn't happened yet. Either that or you're like 14 and that's why you haven't gotten approval, but I don't know how old you are, so that's just my opinion. Is it bad to date someone out of church even if you win them to Jesus? This question for me is a little tricky, because if you guys did not know, one of my best friends, Brianna, her YouTube channel is called Brianna Lauren. We've collabed a lot. She was not saved up until like 3 or 4 years ago, and her boyfriend got her into church, actually. As well as another friend of mine, Allison, got her boyfriend Colby into church. So I think it does work. It just really, really depends on the person.
I will say it can work.
Yeah.
It can work.
But you shouldn't be like forcing it if it doesn't happen naturally, because with Bree, she was in the world, but she was so hungry for something that as soon as she met Nathan and found out that he went to church, she was like, I want to go to church with you, because she was so hungry. But
I think
in other
that part of it,
situations,
though, is that they are kind of the exception to the rule.
they are.
And they're, I mean, out of the tons of people that we know who have tried it, I mean, we maybe
usually
know,
they are the ones that get
we
dragged
maybe
out.
know like 5 people. Like,
That it's actually worked for. So while I do think that everyone needs to be saved, and if you really have like a strong connection with this person and you really, really, really want to pursue it, but you know that they're not in church, make sure that they are fully in before you do anything, because you will regret it if you end up getting dragged out. Because that 9 times out of 10 is what
they're
happens.
going to pull you out.
Yeah.
So I would say I really do not recommend it. And like we said, we have people who we know who it's worked. It's super
but it depends
rare,
on the person for sure.
and they're kind of the exception to the rule. But I
And
would
you
say,
have to be strong in your beliefs so that you aren't the one getting
and you never,
tainted.
and you don't want to date someone out of church, because, and then another thing is, you're marrying the family too.
Yeah,
So that's like really difficult. And I know from experience now being married, like Blake's family is my family. Like they're my, I consider them like his parents are my parents. Like they consider me their daughter. So it's, you know, you really are.
Huge.
And so when you marry someone who is out of church, you know, you are marrying that family.
All the mess that's
you know?
in their family.
I don't know. It's a tricky situation. I wouldn't recommend it. If there is someone that you are really into, I would just say really pray about it. Become friends with them. You know, pray that God will, you know, soften their heart and lead them to the truth. And then, you know, if they get into church, then you're there, you know?
How do you tell a guy you are interested in them?
Don't.
I literally was going to say that. Don't. Because
I know you're gonna say
it's
that.
not your job. I mean, call me old-fashioned. I really don't care. I've said this in multiple videos. I don't care if you don't agree with my opinion, because it's my opinion. Don't do it. I still go by the same rule that I went by when I was 14. I don't text guys first. I don't call guys first. I let them call me.
Yeah.
And you can say that that's immature. You can say that that's old-fashioned. You can say that that's not equality,
empowered.
blah, blah, blah. If you want me, honey, you better come get me, because I'm not coming to you.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in a guy, I mean, if you're hanging out with him, you can maybe, like, be kind of flirty, and then he'll know that you're interested, but don't be like, oh, I'm interested in you, just wondering if you're interested in me too. Like, no, don't do that.
Right.
I think there's ways to show someone you're interested without coming right out and saying it, you know? But make sure that he pursues you.
Absolutely.
Nicole, how did you prioritize time with Blake, being long distance, working, and in school?
I will say that I never want to go back to that season of my life, because it was miserable with all of the working and stuff. It was really, really difficult, because I was working. I was taking 5 classes my last semester of school. So that's more than full time in school.
Yeah, it is.
And I was working 40 hours. So I basically had about like 5 hours of sleep every night. I would get home at like 11, and I would talk to Blake for 30 minutes and cry. And then if I was on my way to another job or another class, I would call him and we would talk. But it was just like anytime I had, like if I was driving, you know, I would find time, prioritize time, because our relationship is really, really important. But sometimes you have to get through a season. And that's kind of how like our engagement season was really, really difficult. But we're so thankful that we worked as hard as we did and saved and finished school and worked and got our jobs, because now we're reaping the benefits of all the hard work. So sometimes you just got to get through a season. Long distance is hard, but now we value our time together so much, and we just love being together. Like, are we not with each other, like, all the time?
Yeah, they really are.
I mean, he does stuff with his friends, and, like, we're cool, but, you know.
They really are together more than most people.
Because we work in the same, like,
skyscraper. And with me, too,
skyscraper.
because I'm the third wheel.
You are with us a lot, yeah.
I'm with them, like, all the time.
Truly.
How do you pray for your future boyfriend/spouse?
Oh, that's a
This is
sweet
a good
question.
one. It is a sweet question, and I don't think that many people do it, because they just don't really think about it. Like, and like, I feel like until they know the person's name or who they are, they're just kind of like, what am I gonna pray for them about? But Nicole always tells this story about how Blake's dad would always go into Blake's room and pray with him before he went to bed and be like, your future wife's about to go to sleep right now.
Which is just so cute. Or, like,
which I think is,
I
think
that's
wife's
adorable. Waking up
right
now.
And I feel like I'm definitely gonna do that with my kids, because that's literally just the cutest thing ever. And it's also
it keeps
preparing
it in your
them.
mind.
Yeah.
That, like, there is somebody.
And it's like preparing them to, like, already be praying for them and, you know, making lists of what they want and stuff.
I prayed a lot for my future spouse. My mom was really, my parents, both of them, but my mom would always be like, you know, you really need to pray for, like, qualities that you want. And so I remember, like, praying, like, God, help me to have a guy who's really humble. Help me to have a guy who's this, who's that. And then I would also, like, I remember when we got engaged, I prayed, I would literally read the Proverbs 31 chapter, and I would pray specific qualities, like, God, help me to have these specific qualities, like, every single day.
And she does.
Oh, you're so cute. Like,
she does. I promise. She's the perfect little wife.
I'm just not.
And she does cook really good, in case you were wondering.
But I would literally just, like, pray that all the time. So I think part of praying for your future spouse is praying that you will become a great future spouse and become who, you know, you're supposed to be for them.
Yeah, so praying for both of you.
Yeah.
But before you even know who they are, just pray for them every day, just like whatever they're going through right now, like, help them to, you know, get through it, help them to know that they're loved. Yeah. Because that's affecting your future too. And so praying for them now, even though you don't know them, maybe, it's just a good habit, because when you guys are married, you know, you'll be praying for them and with them.
I love that question.
Where is the line of having standards versus being too picky with men? Girl, this is a good question, because there are some girls out there that are like 42 and they're not married because they're so picky.
Yeah.
And there's, I have high standards. No, girl, you're looking for eye color, hair color, skin color. No, take it all off the list. Like, no, I don't think that either of us have, well, I mean, she's already married, but did you have, like, a specific look that you wanted your husband to look like?
No.
And I definitely, when I was younger, I used to always, like, talk to blonde guys, and I was just like, I'm going to marry a blonde guy with blue eyes or green eyes. So we're going to have blonde babies, and they're going to be so cute. And, like, the older I get, the more, like, my track record is just so random. Like, nobody looks the same. And I just think, like, a part of being too picky is just little details like that. If they have, like, a high voice, like, oh, it's not manly enough. Like, what?
Sometimes people are so picky that they ruin something that would have been great. Like, for instance, I always, my whole life, ask anyone, thought I would marry someone a lot older than me. Like, everyone did, I think.
Yeah,
I think everyone thought that I would be, like, the same age, you know, 22, 23 when I got married, and marry someone who was, like, 30. I think everyone in my life really thought that. But when I met Blake, I was like, it's, you know, it's odd that we're the same age. I wouldn't have expected to marry someone the same age as me. And I could have been really picky and been like, no, he's not, you know, he's not older, and, you know, he doesn't have a house or something like that.
Yeah.
But I knew that he was exactly the kind of person that God wanted me to marry. And I just knew the more I got to know him, I'm like, this is the guy. Like, this is the guy, you know?
Yeah.
And God has a sense of humor, because I never thought I would marry someone the same age as me, but I'm 100% so thankful that I was wrong. So sometimes just overlooking little stupid things that you grow up thinking little things, like, oh, I'll probably marry someone like this.
Yeah.
And you just realizing that some of those things they're just not, like, important. Petty. They're just petty.
Like, stupid things.
Yeah.
I would just say...
And you have to look at who they can become, too. And not just who they are right now, but, like, what is their potential? What do they have inside that's going to help them go places?
Yeah, I would just say, like, the lines of being too picky versus having standards, just kind of deciding whether it's stupid or not, if it's, like, the way they look versus, like, the way they act. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know.
Like,
just
height differences.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's kind
I
of
was a little picky about that, but, like, you know, if he's really great, just get over it.
Just get over it.
Like,
yeah, I had to crouch in some pictures with my ex when I was wearing heels, and I was like, you know what, it's fine. Like, I mean, it's whatever. If you like them and you're tall, get over it. I have a friend who's 5'11", and she's dating a guy who's 5'8". No joke. She's like, girl, I don't care. I still wear heels. I was like, okay.
Whatever.
This one's a good one. Not a, like, boy-girl relationship, but still good. As women, how can we build a community of supporting each other as opposed to pettiness?
This is a really good question.
This is a really good question for sure.
I think I really use this example a lot, but I think that social media is, like, the worst when it comes to this, because we get so competitive. Instead of, you know, being jealous or being, like, petty, how cool that she gets to do that, you know, whoever the she is in your life. Like, and I've just decided, like, I'm not going to be jealous and petty. I'm going to choose to celebrate these other women who are doing amazing things. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like Charity Walker, I mean, was literally my age when she... Dainty Jules was already, like, 3 years in at this point. I mean...
Yeah, and I think that's, like, a huge thing for us.
You have to be able to celebrate that.
We always talk about, like, just celebrating with others, because it's so easy to just tear people down and out of jealousy.
And find fault.
And
like,
find
these
things.
Stupid faults. Well, they're this, and, you know, they do this.
But we hate that. Like,
so
that's
stupid.
Honestly why you're going to see us hanging out with each other more than most people, just because as sisters, we're able to be like, congratulations on this, and I'm gonna go post about it and tell everyone that you did this. Like, we want to lift each other up, but there are some people in our lives or people from the past that we used to hang out with that didn't want to do that for us. And in the same way, like, you should want people to do that for you, but you should also be willing to do that for others. You shouldn't just expect
other people's victories.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge part of not being petty and, you know, sticking with other women.
Yeah, and the Bible really says, like, super clearly, do not compare yourselves among yourselves. Yeah. Like, stop looking at other people and thinking the grass is greener, because whatever their lawn looks like, there's issues there that you're not seeing. And so sometimes we look at people's lives and we're like, I wish I had their life. You don't know what battles that they've faced to get there, or what they're dealing with right now. So don't wish their life upon yourself. You have your own journey, your own path, your own timing.
Is it okay to have Christian guy friends who are older than you? I don't see why not.
For sure.
Yeah. When would you recommend someone should date? I think 18. I did not date anyone until I was 19. And I didn't start going on dates till I was 18. And I think that was a good time because I had graduated high school. So I wasn't in that mindset of, like, childishness. I had a car, I had a license, I had my own money. I wasn't expecting someone to, you know, do all this stuff for me. And also, I was kind of getting into that, like, adult mindset where I was starting. I mean, I was only 18, but I was thinking about, like, I'm going to be getting married within the next 5 years was kind of my plan.
And that's another thing, is when you start dating at 14, 15, 16, you have nowhere to go.
And I want to say, at those ages, especially if you're in that age right now, we are definitely in the age of Snapchat, social media, secrecy, all that kind of stuff. Luckily, and I always tell people this, luckily I missed that generation by, like, a year or two, where my class wasn't using Snapchat to be provocative and send all these things secretly. I was not a part of that generation, and I'm so lucky that I missed it, because all these girls that are younger than me, they're starting off their relationships with all these physical aspects at 14, 15 years old that I didn't even think about. Like, I wasn't even on my radar, you know? Like, when I was 14, I was like, oh, this guy's cute, we're gonna date. But now these 14-year-old girls are already thinking about all these physical aspects, and it's crazy to me.
It is.
So I think definitely you need to guard your heart until you're old enough to make decisions like
an
about
adult would,
relationships.
and
Yeah.
like you're planning on taking it to the next level, which is marriage. Like,
If
that's
you're-
why we're dating, right?
Yeah. I think when you're 18, you definitely are already getting into that mindset of being an adult, looking for someone for marriage. Whereas when you're 14 or 15, you're looking for a good time, and you're looking for something that's not going to last, something that's going to be fun. And
when you're 14, 15, 16, you're sitting in a parked car for years.
Yeah.
And there's just, you know,
nothing good comes in the backseat of a car.
We're just
That's what our
this
parents always say. We don't know anything about that, but we're saying
using this as an analogy.
That's what our parents
would
always say.
You're just sitting in a parked car. There's nowhere for you to go when you're 16.
Yeah.
You shouldn't get married.
I didn't even
at
have a
18.
car when I was 16.
You probably shouldn't get married at 18. So you're gonna need to wait a little bit, and it's hard to date someone for 5 years and have nothing happen. People do it. Very
but
occasionally.
it's rare.
I know maybe 3 people.
It is rare.
But it's rare, and it's difficult, and you're putting yourself in a situation to make it difficult. Be realistic about how long you can actually date someone before you really should think about marriage.
Yeah, for sure. How often should 2 people getting to know each other call? Is every day too much? No. I think every day, at least once a day. I don't think you should be calling every 5 seconds, but once a day is fine. What should you do when a guy rejects you but still wants to be friends?
No.
Just cut it off. Honestly, you don't need any more friends.
You don't need any
I'm
more
good.
friends.
I don't need any more friends.
I have one guy friend that
Yeah.
I've kept after marriage. Me and Blake's best friend, Steven, and he has transitioned from my friend to our friend.
Yeah,
and
all my guy friends are dating my
all.
girlfriends.
Yeah.
How do you deal with a breakup? You just, I don't know.
I think that
Slowly
you
get over
let
it.
yourself not be okay for a couple days, and you give yourself,
Give yourself
whatever
time
it
to
is, 3
mourn.
days a week, and give yourself time to mourn, and then, quit looking at the pictures of you guys.
Delete them if you need to. Delete the texts.
Delete the stuff. Quit stalking him on Instagram. Just stop. Just don't do it anymore. Quit looking at his Instagram. Block him or something on there. I don't know. Can you hide people's stuff? Yeah, you can hide now. Mute or hide.
I would just unfollow. You don't even need to. You're still going to be looking for him.
Don't torture yourself.
Oops.
And don't have your friends send you.
Yeah, why did they do that? Why do they think you want to see that?
I still have friends who ask me to send them. Can you send me so-and-so?
Yes, stop. How long do you think is a good amount of time to get to know a person and decide whether you want something serious with them or not?
I think that it's different for
Couple
every
months,
person, really.
Tops.
Some people, I think when you're older,
you don't need a year to decide if you want to date
No.
someone.
You should know within the first couple of months whether they're it or not. Especially if you're at a place in life where you're older and you're more... Like, I remember Lindsay Bittler saying on Instagram that he proposed to her after 2 months. But they were like, I want to say 26, 27. So they were at a place where they were like, we're good. You're it. I'm it. We're good to go. But like, if you're, 18, 19, 20 and you're, trying to go through college and everything like that, take a little bit of time, decide, but you realistically know if someone's it in a couple months.
Even in a few weeks, honestly.
It shouldn't take a year.
Yeah. How long is too long to be in the talking phase before making it official? Same situation, a few months, maybe like 6 tops. If a guy needs to talk to you for 2 years before he wants to ask you to be his girlfriend,
he's talking to 6 other girls.
He's talking to someone else. I promise.
Sure.
How
last question.
do you prepare your heart in the waiting?
Praying that God would make you who you are supposed to be in this season. And like I was saying, kind of praying that like Proverbs 31 prayer where you're like, God, help me to exhibit these qualities, put these qualities into my heart. That's how you kind of prepare your heart so that when the right person does come along, you've cultivated those things within yourself, and then you can serve and give from a place of abundance, from a place of you have these qualities and you're ready to give them to someone else. What do you think the most important value is in a partner? I think humility is huge. Honesty is huge. Another thing is like the ability to understand the other person. Like a big thing with Blake was like he understood me and I didn't have to constantly explain myself to him and explain why I did certain things. He was like, oh, you did this because of that. Like he just kind of knew. And I think when a guy really gets you and understands you, like, I mean, that's like the world, that's huge.
It is.
When you have a guy who just like knows you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and who doesn't, you know, pick you apart or find flaws, but they're just like, that's how you are.
How do you solve a conflict or miscommunication with your significant other?
I think really trying to understand like where the other person is coming from, and this is something that we're always kind of working on and we'll continue to work on for our marriage, you know, our whole marriage, but trying to just be like, okay, well, they think this because maybe they were brought up this way, or they have this idea that makes them think this way, and kind of, it's hard in the moment, you know, it's easy to talk about it, but it's difficult in the moment to really be
it's
like,
important
okay,
to communicate.
Why are they thinking this way?
Yeah, I think like the best way to solve a conflict is just communicating, and I'm one of those people that like, I will literally talk about it for 5 hours if I have to. I just don't want to fight with you anymore. Like, I'll stay on the phone with you and keep talking about it until we both feel better, because I don't want you to leave the conversation being mad at me, and I don't want to leave the conversation being mad at you. And also the Bible says not to let the sun go down on your wrath. So if you are fighting with your significant other, give them some time to cool off, but make sure that you talk about it before.
And that's big, you know? Sometimes, especially with guys, sometimes just like,
let them chill.
Just leave them alone for an hour. Leave them alone for a half hour. And then usually what happens is like you go back and you're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you usually like laugh about it.
And
being
then you
dumb
just
or
like,
something.
You'll make a face and they'll laugh and you'll laugh and it'll be fine.
How much should you actually be talking to your boyfriend though? Someone said.
I mean, if you're in a relationship, you want to build a relationship.
What's something you wish you knew before entering your relationship? I don't even know. I don't want to say anything. I'm just not going to say anything.
I don't know either. I can't think of anything good.
I can't think of anything either. Almost all my friends are getting engaged and married. I'm not on that life level yet, but been feeling pressure from everyone to find someone. Are my priorities straight? #confused. Girl, I think every apostolic girl that's not married and is around 20 to 25 is with you on that, because everybody is getting married, engaged, having babies.
Yeah.
And
everybody's having babies right now.
Everybody's having babies. My goodness. It's like, if you aren't, then there's something wrong with you. Well, guess what? There's not something wrong with you. You just haven't found the right guy. Yeah, and the right guy hasn't found you. If you're single, is it okay to go to lunch alone with a friend of the opposite sex? I think it's fine if you're old enough. I do it all the time with my guy friends. As long as they don't like you.
Because you're not going to have guy friends when you're married. Like I said, I have one guy friend who is our guy friend.
Yeah, he's transitioned into both of their friends. But
he's probably more Blake's friend than he is, you know.
Even though he used to be her best friend, yeah. Which you're lucky for that.
Which is the only, but, you know.
It doesn't work like that for everyone.
No, it doesn't really.
But I think making sure that he isn't actually just trying to date you.
Right.
You know.
Which they usually are, let's be honest.
Yeah. But I think, this is the only time that you really will get to do that.
Do you believe in right person, wrong timing? I used to really believe in this. Like, I really did believe in this for a long time. I don't know that I believe in it anymore.
I don't know that I believe in it either.
I think that everything happens for a reason, especially when you live for God and you know, you're on the path that God wants you to be. Like, God has a blueprint for your life, right? So I think that the right person will come along when God wants him to.
Yeah.
You know, and I really did think, you know, I did. I really thought wrong timing, like.
And people have told me this about previous guys I've talked to or been in relationships with or whatever. Like, oh, I think he really was the right one. You just aren't ready. And I'm like, no. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's, I think that's a movie plot. And I don't think that's a real life plot.
Blake and I did know each other since I was 17. So I will say that there is, you know, I guess you could use that as an example where that was kind of right person, wrong timing. But we never dated or anything. Yeah. So I guess, I don't know. I think sometimes you already have someone in your head who you think is it, and it's just the wrong timing. And if it's the wrong timing, like 6 times, it's probably not the right person.
Oh, Abby next time. So we hope you guys enjoyed this video. We tried to get to all your questions,
but
we didn't want to like do any repeats, and a lot of them were the same. So hopefully, if you did have a question, we answered it for you.
Maybe we'll answer some more in the comments below.
Yeah, and if you guys want us to do any more videos like this, or just like sister-related videos, let us know, and we'll be sure to do those. Don't forget to follow us and buy Nicole's
Like
book.
and subscribe.
Buy Nicole's
What is
book.
this?
Worth
Why did
it.
you do that?
I don't know what that was.
Like a subscribe button.
But anyways,
Bye,
love you guys. Have a good night, and we'll see you in the next one.